Good morning to all. So in the last class we discussed about the major fact regarding the poem, which is the Looking for a Cousin on a Swing by A.K. Ramanujan. So basically we discussed about the details of the author, then some major points regarding this poem, and also just an outline to this poem in a very simple sense. So now we have to focus on this poem in a detailed manner. So from the page number 22 from this textbook, we have this poem, which is Looking for a Cousin on a Swing. So this poem is written by A.K. Ramanujan, and this poem is a short piece of just 23 lines, and it is notable for its simple diction and unadorned style, and it tells about the peculiar sensation felt by a premature girl of 4 or 5 and a little older boy of 6 or 7 while they were on a village swing. So this is the basics or the content or the situation of this poem, in which how this poem regarding this poem, some important facts regarding the poem, in which the setting of the poem is like the old or the childhood memory of this poet itself. So this poem tells about the peculiar sensation felt by a premature girl of 4 or 5. Basically, she is the cousin of this boy, who is the one of the important character in this poem. So we have a girl and also the boy who is the major character in this poem. So these are the two major aspects that we should focus on. And also they were playing on a village swing, and also after this sensation they climbed a tree which was not very tall and which was full of leaves. So there is another important factor in which all this kind of swing, then this kind of tree, and all these topics are a kind of imagery. So A.K. Ramanujan uses the imagery in this poem in order to get a clear idea regarding all these topics, especially regarding this swing, what is the use of it, why he used in this poem, and some inner meanings of this kind of words, especially the words in using the kind of images in this poem have a kind of different meaning. So all these things that we should focus on while discussing this poem. And also they were the two characters, they were innocent about all that they did on the tree, and very wittily the poet tells about the same girl, now having grown into a mature woman, lives in a city and goes on hunting for companions of her lust, and also she is ever ready to give herself to anyone but for asking if someone suddenly sneezes. The kind of this following stanza from this poem is enough to deserve this kind of comments. And now she looks for a swing in cities with 15 suburbs and tries to be innocent about it. So this is a fact of this poem, in which this poem is divided into two divisions. The first part is regarding the past of this narrator, then the second part is the present, the present condition of this situation of this narrator. So here we have the two sides, or like the of this life of this narrator. So later she is a mature girl, and she lives in a city and goes on hunting for companions of her lust, and she is ever ready to give herself to anyone but for asking if somebody suddenly sneezes. And also this kind of lines from this poem, which means it signifies all this kind of answer to all these kind of questions, in which now she looks for this swing in cities with the 15 suburbs and tries to be innocent about it. So this is the kind of nostalgic feeling of this woman, and also some kind of a very important, in a very deeper sense, it has also a deeper meaning, or a double kind of this meaning in these lines. And also all these kind of images, it has also a second meaning in its nature. So while we discussing this poem in a very detailed sense, we have to focus on this poem by line. So the first stanza of this poem, which is regarding the past of this narrator, and before that this poem is written in third person narrative, and the title signifies that looking for a cousin on a swing. This means the poet is searching, or this narrator is searching for a cousin. On a swing means the kind of the memory that they have, in which that we already discussed earlier, in which they were playing on this kind of on a village swing, and they have a very nostalgic memory regarding this feeling. So in this poem we have a clear idea regarding all this aspect. So when she was 4 or 5, she sat on a village swing, and her cousin, who is 6 or 7, sat himself against her. With every lunge of the swing, she felt him in the lunging pitch of her feeling. So this is the first stanza of this poem. So when she was 4 or 5, so this signifies the age of this character, the girl, and she was just 4 or 5, and she sat on a village swing. So it is a kind of description regarding their childhood memory, in which they were playing on a village swing. So swing means a kind of activity or a playful thing during the village times, and nowadays it is a kind of thing in the parks and specific places. But a swing in the older times, it signifies a kind of thing that we have to move on with that, and like that. So this is regarding the village swing. So it is just a kind of movement in which she sat on a village swing, and her cousin, who is 6 or 7. So this cousin is the boy in this poem, who is the narrator of this poem. So he is 6 or 7. The age of his age is signified as 6 or 7. So they are just kind of a same age group from the 4 to 5, 6 to 7. So all this kind of age, we can call this age group as a childhood age, the age of a child. So they have a clear memory regarding their this kind of swing. They were play on this village swing. So I repeat, when she was 4 or 5, she sat on a village swing. Then and her cousin 6 or 7 sat himself against her. So this boy and this girl, they themselves, or they together sat on a swing, and with every lunge of the swing, she felt him in the lunging pitch of her feeling. So the term lunge means a sudden thirst or forward motion, a thirst by legs. So while we playing on a swing, we will be just in order to accelerate that motion, we will be give a kind of sudden thirst of for this kind of forward motion, a thirst by legs. So by pressing the legs in a very in a systematic manner, we can speed up this motion of this swing. So that's here that is very clearly present in this stanza, in which regarding with this kind of lunge means the kind of this rotation, the speed of this motion, and with that, the lunge of the swing, she felt him in the lunging pitch. So the lunging pitch means the kind of the place that formed by this kind of lunging, and we have a clear explanation for that in the textbook itself. So it means the lunging pitch means the pitch formed by the thirst by legs on the ground underneath of a swing. Here the seat of emotions or heart. So it is the second meaning of this term. So basically the pitch or the lunging pitch means the pitch formed by the thirst by legs on the ground, which is underneath this kind of swing. So under this kind of swing, there will be a formation of this kind of pitch because of this thirst by this our legs, they thirst by legs, which means the length. So this signifies that the motion of swing, how they played on the swing, how they sat on a swing, and specifically she felt him in the lunging pits of her feeling. So there is a kind of feeling also for this girl, in which they sat themselves very closely, and this is also a kind of emotion in her mindset, both physical and mental, but this signifies that a kind of relations or the kind of emotion of for both these characters, the boy and for the girl. So this is a kind of a description of their childhood memory. And then and afterwards we climbed a tree, she said. So first part of this poem is this kind of two descriptions. First one is they while they playing on this swing, on a village swing. The second part is that regarding the tree. After that they climbed on a tree. So from lines 1 to 4 we can clearly get a clear idea regarding these lines, in which these lines refer to the playful innocence of childhood in a village where there were a carefree atmosphere for joyful activities. So these lines, the first 4 lines, gives a clear idea regarding their childhood memory in a very simple sense, but the swing is an important factor that we should focus on while we discuss the topic, the imagery in this poem. So the swing in the first 4 lines is the very important factor. Like that, then in the next 5 to 8, the next 3 lines, we have another important aspect, in which she felt the extreme closeness of her cousin as she sat together with him on the swing, and this closeness is made thicker by the movement of the swing. So this is also that we discussed just now, in which while they playing on the swing, they were sat themselves in a very close manner. So this extreme closeness of her cousin as she sat together with him on the swing, and this closeness or this attachment is made thicker by the movement of the swing. So it is very unnatural, or it is very natural in its sense, in which while we moving on a swing, maybe there is a kind of a chance of this kind of this closeness, especially this attachment of this with the partner. So here we have a girl and boy who they were the cousin, and they were playing on the swing on their childhood days. So that's regarding the first 8 lines, a quick summary regarding the first 8 lines. So in these lines we get a clear idea regarding the playful innocence of childhood in a village where there was a carefree atmosphere for the joyful activities. So this is the first point that we should focus on. Secondly, she felt, who is the second character in this poem, she felt the extreme closeness of her cousin as she sat together with him on this swing, and this closeness is made thicker by the movement of the swing. So this is the just a clear detailed analysis of the first 8 lines. Then following these lines we have another important image of this poem, in which regarding the lunging pits. So lunging pits of her feeling means the very bottom of her heart and also the feelings. This shows the intimacy of the cousin. So simply we can see that the length of the swing. So please note down on the textbook regarding these points. So the lunging pits of the swing, which means that the intimacy of the cousins, the attachment of these 2 cousins, basically this boy and girl. So that's a clear idea regarding this term, and she felt him in the lunging pits then of her feeling. So that's regarding this intimacy of their cousins. And afterwards we climbed a tree, that she said. So the poet or the narrator uses the term we. So this means that they together climbed on a tree after playing with this on this swing, village swing. So this is regarding a detailed analysis of the first stanza of this poem. So in the second stanza, or the second part of this poem, is regarding the second experience by the narrator, which is while they climbing a tree. So in the poem, we climbed a tree, she said, not very tall but full of leaves like those of a fig tree. So this tree, the tree that here in this poem that poet specified is the fig tree. So that specific tree that we already maybe we saw this kind of fig tree. So it is a kind of tree which full of leaves, and it may be not at all a very tall tree. It may be short. So here also the poet signifies regarding this kind of tree, and the narrator says that we climbed a tree. So here we means the narrator and also this girl, and they climbed on a tree, she said, and not very tall but full of leaves like those of a fig tree, and we were very innocent about it. So this is the first part of this poem, the last concluding part of the first part of this poem. So I already told about the two division of this poem, in which the first part is regarding their childhood memory. So in this segment we have two experience or two description. The first one is regarding this swing, in which how they played on a swing. Second part is regarding this tree, and this tree also a kind of a image in this poem, and the narrator says that we climbed on a tree, she said. So here the girl is the narrator, then it shifts to the boy itself. So we climbed a tree, she said, not very tall but full of leaves like those of a fig tree, and we were very innocent about it. So this means that they climbed on a tree, and maybe they the kind of this experiences on a tree while they climbing on a tree, maybe it is recognized or it is signified as a kind of playful thing during the childhood. And after all, the narrator says that and we were very innocent about it, or this signifies the innocence of a child during that, especially during this age. So they don't know regarding the some deeper meanings of this, but in general they only focused on their innocence. So here poet also just focusing on their innocence, and just they simply just climbing up on the tree, and then maybe they played on that tree like that. So here we have two descriptions regarding these two experiences. The first one is the on the village swing. Second one is the this climbing on a tree. So from the lines 9 to 12, we have a clear idea regarding this, in which this little girl is narrating her childhood experiences of playing with her cousin, and after swinging on the village swing, they would climb a tree, and that tree was not very tall but it was full of leaves. So this is the exact description regarding these lines, in which the little girl or the girl who is just 4 or 5 age, she they after playing on this swing, they just climb on a tree, and this tree she particularly describes about this tree, and this tree was not very tall but it was full of leaves. So maybe this tree may be a fig tree. So it is just a assumption by this narrator. Then in the following lines, the narrator says that these lines emphasize the beauty of the childhood days spent playing with her cousin, and there was an innocence about the games they played. So it is very important factor regarding this everyone's childhood, in which the age of childhood is like the innocent, the age of innocence, and at the age we too we do not just think about any kind of this kind of relations and this kind of any afterward effect of this, but basically it is a true innocence of a child, And here we have, it is described in a very detailed manner, in which from the lines 13 to 14, which means, and we were innocent about it, and also line before that, which is like those of a fig tree. So in these two lines we have a clear idea regarding this, in which these lines emphasize the beauty of the childhood days spent playing with her cousin. There was an innocence about the games they played. So all these games, which means the playing on the swing, then climbing on a tree. So these two incidents or these two aspects is regarded as a kind of playing things, or playing a kind of game. So they just again stress on the word, which is innocence. So the age of childhood is signified as the age of innocence. So it is particularly just emphasized on these lines. So this is about the first part of this poem, in which in these lines we get a clear idea, a clear description about the childhood of this narrator, especially this boy and this girl, and their a kind of nostalgic idea, nostalgic feeling, in which they played on the village swing, and then they climbed on a tree. So in which these two images, the image of the tree and the image of the swing, have, and also the terms like this lunge. So all these terms have a kind of image in it. So before going to that, we have one more second part of this poem, so which describes the present of this narrator, the later part of the narrator, in which the first part is a past in a kind of it signifies the past of this narrator. Second part is regarding the present of this narrator. So the first part is regarding the childhood experiences of this narrator, who is the boy, and also his experiences with this girl, who is the cousin of his cousin, in which they played a kind of played on this village swing, and also later they climbed on a tree, and their intimacy between them, and some experiences between these two these characters. So that's regarding the first part of this poem in a very short manner. Now we have the second part, which is also a very important part of this poem, in which it is signifies regarding the present part of this narrator, and also the first part was regarding the past of the narrator. So the second part is from the third stanza of this poem. Now she looks for the swing in cities with the 15 suburbs, and tries to be innocent about it, not only on the crotch of a tree that looked as if it would burst under every leaf into a brood of scarlet figs. So here we have another experience of this narrator, especially focusing on this girl, in which she is now the present situation. She is now matured, a woman, and also now she looks for the swing, and the place of this in which she looks for the swing or search for the swing is the city, not the village. So this change in shift from the village to the urban life, it is signified in these lines, in which now she looks for the swing in cities with the 15 suburbs, and tries to be innocent about it, not only on the crotch of a tree that look as if it would burst under every leaf into a brood of scarlet figs, and also if someone suddenly sneezed. So this is the last line of this poem. The second part is very short in its nature, but the content of this poem is very, very deep in its nature. So in these lines, the poet says that which is through this line, poet or the narrator is expressing the contrast with the city life as she leads now, and also it is different from the village life she spent in the childhood, and also the city life is one of the falsehood and also the hypocrisy. Then this kind of this hypocrisy, and she thinks that she can never regain this sense of this innocence, though she is eagerly searching for the lost in innocence, it cannot be found in the cities. So this means that the term innocence means a kind of situation or a kind of emotion during the childhood, but when she became a matured woman, she fails to find this kind of innocence in her life, because she is mature and she knows everything about the life in a detailed manner. So this means that the innocence is reduced to its lower level, while in which the other kind of these emotions of her became more dominant over this innocence. So there is a shift from this innocence to the other feeling of in her life. And also this lines just contrasting the city life with the urban life, in which the city life is the present situation of this girl, in which she was at the village in her childhood times, and in the village life she just remembers about all these kind of nostalgic feelings and emotions and this kind of experiences. But in the city she is not able to find this kind of swing on the city, because it is like a urban life. In a city life there is no place for this kind of village swings or like that. And I already said about that, in which it is a particular object in the park or this kind of places. So she just searched for this kind of swing on the in the city, but she doesn't get, she's failed to find out it. So it is the first aspect of in these lines. Secondly, she think that she can never regain the sense of the innocence. So the city life is one of the falsehood and hypocrisy. So this means that the city life just turns her to shift from the innocence to the other kind of these emotions in the life. So it is a one kind of shift from in her life. And also, though she is eagerly searching for the lost of innocence, it cannot be found in the cities. So then she searched for this kind of innocence which she had during the childhood times, but she fails to find this innocence in the city, because the first thing is that the situation or the setting of the city is different from the village. Secondly, she is now a matured girl. So in a matured person, in any kind of this matured person, the innocence level is compared to the kind of this child any kind of this child, it should be very less in its nature. Especially the innocence will be lowered than the childhood time when he or she became mature. So it is a very truthful fact regarding everyone's human's life. So here it is clearly given in these lines, in which the poet just signifies the shift from the childhood to the maturity and a very adulthood, but it means that there is a kind of shift in its the nature or the thinking or the situation of the life also, in which from the shift from the innocence to the other feelings of the life. So that's regarding these lines. And also in the last 3 lines from the 19 to 23, we have a clear description about the just a conclusion to this poem, in which the poet introduces the symbol of this tree, which is a symbol of innocence. So it is very important. The tree here is the symbol of innocence. Then this shows that the girl is searching for the same innocence, but there is a risk involved in every relationship, namely that she may enter into a kind of life she leads now. And this is quite in contrast to the not so precarious situation which she was in, when she was climbing up on the tree with her cousin. So this means that here the second part is completely focused on this girl who was 4 or 5 at the first part of this poem, and in the second part she is a matured woman, but she fails to find this innocence in her life, and also she fails to trace out this kind of emotions in this second part of this poem. So in which the poet signifies the tree as a symbol of innocence, and she fails to find this kind of innocence or this kind of this swing or the village swing in the city life, because she is just turned into the another phase of life. From the childhood, she just turned to the other phase, the second phase of in her life, which is probably the adulthood. It is not specified in this poem, but we can get a clear idea by going through this line in which she is changed, her attitude was changed. So it is the just like the conclusion to this poem, in which the poet, the narrator gives a clear idea regarding this the change or a shift in her attitude from the innocence to the adulthood. So that's regarding this poem in a very detailed manner. So here we have many symbols. Than this, on all these lines, we can find out a kind of 3 to 4 main symbols, which signifies a clear meaning regarding in its natural thing, but it also have a kind of double meaning or a very deviate kind of this kind of meaning in its sense. So we have to focus on all these points in a very detailed manner. Before that, I will just go through the quick summary of this poem. So from the first part to the second part, we have two division in this poem. The first part is the past of this narrator, second part is the present of this narrator, and probably in the second part the narrator is this girl itself, and in the first part we have both these two, boy and girl, as the narrators. So basically this poem is a kind of written in the kind of third person narrative. So going to the summary of this poem, the poem starts with the reference to the village life of the narrator in his childhood. He says that he and his girlfriend sat together on a village swing when she was 4 or 5 years old. He was her cousin and he was 6 or 7 years old, and she felt him with every movement of swing. After swinging, they climbed on a tree, and this tree was not tall at all. It was full of leaves like a fig tree, but they were unaware about it. So this is the first part of this poem. And moving to the second part, now the poet narrates their experiences of being adults. So this is the change from the childhood to the adulthood, and she is looking for swings in the cities and its 15 suburbs, which means the division of the cities. Also it signifies the division of the tree, the branches of the tree, and also she is longing for a life like the childhood, and but tries to be unaware about it, and the swing has been tied to the branches of the trees, which is full of red colored figs. So it is also a kind of image, and it seems that the tree will shed a large number of figs at a single shaking. So that's a quick summary to this poem, in which we get a clear idea regarding just a contrast between the childhood and adulthood. It is the first point. Secondly, we get a clear idea regarding the experience of this narrator, especially the poet himself gives a clear idea, and also on the point of view of this girl, we get a clear experience of their life, in which the experiences during the childhood while they playing on the swing and on climbing on the tree. Secondly, in the second part, she is just searching for this swing or searching for her identity, searching for the innocence in a very deep manner. So this is these are the two important facts from this poem. So before going to the imagery of this poem, we have some important word meanings or the glossary which we should focus on while discussing this poem, in which we already go through the first two aspects, which is the lunge, which means the thirst, then the lunging pits, which means the pits made out of lunging on the ground while they playing on the swing. Then suburbs means the nearby places, or the kind of in the city all the places may be in a small cluster. So here we have suburbs means nearby places, and also on the point of view of this tree, the suburbs means the branches, the different parts of this tree. So it is a kind of image that we should focus on. Then the crotch means the junction of two branches, the joint of two branches, from one branch to the two or three kind of these joints in a tree. While we focusing on a tree, we should focusing on this type of terms too. So the crotch means simply, in a very simple meaning, it means junction of two branches in a tree, crotch. Then thirdly, we have the other important term, which is the brood. So the brood means a group. So brood, a kind of group of these people. So we have two more terms in this poem that we should focus on. The second last term is the scarlet. So scarlet means the red, in which here we have the fig as the tree. So in the fig tree we will get the kind of fruits, as the red signifies it is in its full form, or in its ripen in the very good state, which signifies the scarlet. So the second term, or the important term in this word meanings or the glossary, is the scarlet. It means the red. Then lastly we have the term sneeze. So sneeze means expel air through the noise. Simply we call the kind of this emotions in a very simple manner. So that's regarding these two terms. So now we have a clear idea regarding this. I think we just completed this poem in a very detailed manner by discussing the stanza wise kind of this poem, and also going through the quick summary and some detailed aspect of this poem. But this is not complete sense of this poem. We have to focus on the imagery of this poem. So in this class I just point out only the images or the kind of these terms in this from this poem, and in the next class we will be go detailed on this imagery, and also we will be analyzing this poem in a detailed manner. And also we have a kind of just important questions and answers section, in which we should focus on that section too. So the next class will be regarding on all these topics. So in this class I just conclude this class by saying the most images in this poem. So firstly we have the term swing is one of the most important aspect of the image in this poem. Secondly we have the tree. The tree is the kind of image in this poem, and also the crotch of a tree, it is also a kind of image in this poem. Then we have the tree, which is specifically the fig tree, it is also very important. Then we have the innocence, it is also an important image in this poem. And lastly we have the terms like the scarlet, then the brood, then the sneeze. So all these terms will comes under the one of the most important kind of image in this poem. So we will be go in detail on this imagery in the next class. So that's for today. Go through the poem in a very detailed sense. So this poem is about the childhood experiences of this poet, and especially these two characters, the girl and the boy, and they have a very good memory during their childhood, and in the adulthood they especially the girl is searching for the kind of this nostalgic feeling, or this kind of innocence in a very deep manner. Her quest for the identity, search for identity in a very detailed manner. So also this poem expresses a relationship with the past and present, and also arousing the nostalgic thoughts and feelings. And also the poet uses some powerful images like the swing, the tree, innocence, etc. So we will be go in detail in this next class about the analysis of this poem, particularly the imagery used in this poem, and also some important questions from this poem. So that's for today. Thank you. Happy learning.